You are watching Eswatini TV, Sibuko Semaswati. Right place. Hello and welcome, of course. Eswatini coming to you live. This is your lovely program, Temidlalo, every Monday, of course, coming to you live here on Eswatini TV. Of course, we are also live on our YouTube channel. Hello and welcome. The world is speaking one language, which is the coronavirus outbreak, where we're talking about the pandemic that has got the entire continent in a panic way. We also talk about how that is so far affecting the world of sport. We're talking about sporting activities. When we talk about sporting activities, we are as well being involved, of course, as you can tell. There's nothing you can do by not keeping anything to do with sanitizing or social distances. These are some of the things the World Health Organization are trying, by all means, of course, to say keep a social distance, keep always in a position where you can at least not easily be affected. Of course, sanitizing, washing your hands regularly. See, these are some of the things that we are being emphasized, we are being told to do. We talk about how now one of the biggest tournament that is yet to be confirmed if it's going to be on or not is the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games. President Thomas Bach has mentioned that in 4 weeks they're going to make a final say about the games. Now, countries like Canada and Australia have pulled out. We also talk about how that is affecting us as a country, where we'll be in the company of the Chief Executive Officer of the local Olympic movement, Mr. Sidney Milan. Across the country, sporting activities, of course, have been put on hold, but golf, as it is best, they are still in practices. Our in-house analyst, Linda Thamin, of course, visited some of the places, including golf course at Ngonyene. We hear what's happening. And of course, worldwide, there's an issue of tissue challenge. Of course, with the players being isolated in their places, we're going to see some of the situations that are taking place internationally, where players, of course, are being isolated. And of course, they have got only one thing to do, to play with what they have. Of course, FIFA statements pertaining to what's happening with the coronavirus, we're going to talk about that. All that in the remaining 59 minutes, of course, is going to be brought to you by your host, Fabrice Msonera. I'm already in the company of Sidney Milan, the Chief Executive Officer of Eswatini, Olympic Commonwealth Games Associations. There are two things there. There's Olympic, there's Commonwealth, and there are games, of course, in the country. But before we do anything, as we know,
Siyabonga, Fabrice.
Yes.
Let's start with the basics.
It starts with the basics.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and just I think for the information of the viewer, this is a meter between me and him. Excuse me. We try by all means, of course, to keep the distance, in as much as in his line of duty we do get to see each other. But that's that. What we just did, it also applies to me, which means you have also to make sure that my hands are being also clean as possible.
Thank you. I was getting worried.
Yes,
Yeah.
and of course we welcome you in the studio, Milan. How are you adapting? How are you adapting to this situation of the COVID-19, the coronavirus?
Well, thank you for first of all for the opportunity to be in studio and to face the nation and engage on some of the hot topics that we are currently facing, both as a nation and as a world and as a people. I think it's a difficult moment for everybody, whether you're an ordinary citizen or whether you're a sport person or you're a business person. It's really challenging moments, particularly because it relates to issues of safety. We know that whilst we pursue all the things that we dream of and go about our business every day, we still want to make sure that we are safe and healthy.
Okay.
And with the prevailing situation, things are very tough.
Very tough. Now, I think we'll talk about how now it's affecting the entire sporting fraternity, especially the branch. I would say I use the word branch, which is the Olympic activities, the Commonwealth, and everything that has to do with the office. How it's affecting you now. I wonder is maybe to start a little bit for the viewers just to get to know what's the Naskulumane Eswatini Olympic Commonwealth Games Association. The office on its own. What's your mandate? What are you guys about? Yeah, I think that's one thing that we want to know quickly.
It's a long story. It's a long story.
Let's cut it short, maybe to make the viewers understand.
A long story which is very simple. Simple in the sense that we are a movement, a global movement that has a core philosophy, and the core philosophy is try to make a better world through sport. Now, as you would know, that sport has got a lot of aspects in it. You can talk of professional sport, you can talk of some programs that help to enhance life, you can talk of the economy of sport. There's many other aspects that we try to pursue, but the fundamental thing is try to make this big influence or impact in people's lives through this wonderful asset called sport.
And I know you've got what we call the Olympic Solidarity, where you've got programs, and then you've got some of the athletes on scholarship, and then it has everything to do to the fact that we as a country facility in high performance center. So the scholarship speaks on the aspect that you can take an athlete, actually goes outside and access those. Take us through about the whole situation and how many now athletes are on the scholarship, and if possible the names can be revealed as well.
We currently have 6 athletes on Olympic Solidarity Scholarship. The basic concept is behind the universality or solidarity concept is that we are coming from different backgrounds, and obviously some countries are very much ahead of others in terms of infrastructure and in terms of facilities and in terms of the support system that enables an athlete to be able to perform
as I can see some of the things on the screen, of course. Yes.
So now the great leadership and visionaries that are behind this movement thought it is better that whatever we can be able to collect in terms of revenue, in terms of resources, we share globally. That's why it calls solidarity. So the little that we have or the big that we have, we share equally. The amount of money that a scholarship receives as a Swati athlete is equal to the same amount that an athlete receives elsewhere in the world.
Maybe to catch you a bit, Mr. Smith, what am I looking at that on the screen when I'm looking at Olympic movement structure? I think it speaks to how maybe the organization itself work. Yes,
that is basically our universe. When I said we have one key vision, is to make a better world through sport. And therefore we needed a structure that will try to bring this universal vision into life. So there's a core structure where you can see it houses our president and the committees around him, and then immediately around that you see the administrative structure that he operates with, and around that is the next layer in that universe of the organs that actually make sure that the programs and the dreams that they have as a core come to life, and that is now including us as NOCs, IFs or international federations, and the layers go on and on.
Yeah. Currently, how many athletes, maybe quickly, do we have on the scholarship? And then
we have
maybe
6. Yeah.
So the scholarship, how does it work? Does it have a time frame to say you're on scholarship preparing for a specific tournament, and how does it work? Quickly, maybe before.
Okay. It's a simple thing to understand. We plan on a 4-year plan, or we call it the quadrennial.
True.
It's a 4-year plan Now you would understand that Olympic Games happen every 4 years. So now basically you would want anybody to plan on a 4-year plan. So post every games, there is always an analysis of how the previous years or previous 4 years programs have actually been delivered, and then a new program is ushered or offered. What then happens is we receive the offer, how much is available and what is available, and we roll it down to our colleagues. Our colleagues here, I'm talking to about national federations, who then know which outlets from their respective sport code they can actually recommend based on their potential to be able to have a good performance after the 4 years. So they submit those names with justifications and having tracked those outlets with their respective potential, because honestly we do want good performance at the games outside the so country. That's why we almost like are pretty sure that after 4 years perhaps if an athlete is at this level, after 4 years maybe he will have reached that level with the right support and influence behind that.
Yeah. Now I've attended some of in Olympic Day in terms of annually. Maybe one would want to say this year. I know there's the issue of this pandemic that is currently hitting the entire world. When can we expect the Olympic Day? I mean, it brings everyone together. Those who want also to know about your objectives and your work, what you try to achieve. It's a moment to show them. When can we expect that day? And this time around, where do you think it's going to be hosted? I've seen being hosted in different places. UST, Yombabane. What's working? If it's to happen, of course, with the pandemic.
Yeah, you're asking me a very painful question because the Olympic Day is one of those days where we actually are able to really exude this Olympism life, where we bring everybody together and we share the simple values of respect, excellence, etc., together with the non-excellence pursuing athletes or human beings. The ordinary people in society comes to us, they all come together wherever we are gathered, and we're able to enjoy the day doing some little nyana sports that they've never seen in their lives.
So this year, maybe to catch you, this year, what do you think it's going to be?
That's why I said you're putting me in a very tricky spot because in as much as we plan, it's always around Bomei, thereabout. But obviously with the current situation, I wouldn't want to be heard to pronounce a date but we're still hopeful that things will be resolved and we can almost guarantee our guests' safety and all other things.
Of course, I'm looking at Zweli. This is some of our athletes. We know he has a national record. I think when you talk about national championships, he's our number one top athlete. Looking at, we're talking about the issue of scholarship. I think he's one of the athletes locally who won scholarship.
Yes.
Can we say maybe we'll talk about the Olympics later on? But what are we saying when we talk about him being on scholarship? Has he improved for the 4 years that you're talking about?
In terms of his personal improvement, I'm not a technical person.
No, sure.
But in terms of the events that we've actually enabled him to access, there's been clear evidence that he's been growing from what he was maybe say 3 years backwards.
True.
We know that there's been interruptions when we withdrew the scholarship at some point because of issues around boxing. But now that he's back, I'm sure if you were watching the recent qualifiers in Senegal, Qatar, you saw his good performance there, except that he lost on a very marginal score, as well as Tabiso, who was actually up with him as well. He was able to go through the first round and couldn't succeed in the next round. But you can actually see the massive improvement,
and that is
with the kind of support.
As someone who's still in school and his qualities is good.
That's very impressive. In fact, that's when you should catch them whilst they're young and try to instill the correct techniques, the discipline, and the focus to be able to be an Olympian at the end of the day.
And I'm rushing to talk about the Olympics. Maybe last question before we talk about the Olympics and maybe anything to do with the office, to say we people want to know if now we have anyone who's qualified. I mean, you talked about him he couldn't make it. The likes of Tabiso, and I think if maybe the Olympics are to be on, which is it's the topic we're going to talk about now. Who is to represent us? Do we have anyone who's qualified?
Well, I think it was mid last month. We actually declared to the nation our provisional team. By provisional team here is obviously the first base is the guys we've been working on,
of which majority of them are on the pictures there.
Yes. So essentially, they are all working hard towards qualifying. None of them has qualified as yet, and unfortunately, with the current situation, a number of qualifiers have been cancelled, and a number of practice events have been cancelled. So we are in a state of limbo, as you were. Now, what's going to happen next? Are they going to review the qualification processes or not? So those questions are still up
in the hanging. Yes, this should be subsisto Swaziport Matsenj, of course, in a training session. I think we've been relying on him for quite some time. Is he one of them? Maybe we're looking at to go once again represent us.
He was mentioned. He was listed in the list of provisional athletes that are going to the Olympics. And if you will look at your notes and you see the kind of performances that he's been displaying the last 3-4 months,
like this one,
you will see a drastic improvement in what he's doing and how he's doing. So and that's mainly due to a number of tweaks in the kind of support system that we've been working around and discussing with him.
Now, quickly, maybe a last two questions. I've got two questions, but the last one will be the main question. There's the social media, of course, is buzzing to say, are you, as an association, accepting maybe taking on a new sporting cause? I mean, the talk of the town is the tech ball, this new sport that is around. I mean, I think something has maybe arrived in your office to say this is the sport in the country, and how are people responding to that? And what can you say about this new sporting code?
It's exciting. It's exciting. That's one thing I can say. Particularly to know that we are very flexible to new innovations, new ideas, and I think to a large extent we are tapping into a new talent of leaders who can take us forward. Maybe some of us are getting tired now.
I'm impressed with the art of this table. It's something else.
Yeah, there's a lot of science in it. There's a lot of thought. There's a lot of innovation. As you look at the table itself, it gives you so many ideas. And if you've once played football, you could think it's easy to mess around with it, but it can mess around with you.
And of course, I think one who is watching right now, the bigger picture is that 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games, there's an issue of not yet being cancelled. I think now athletes are raising their concerns to say, if it's not cancelled, what are they thinking of doing? I mean, because if we're talking about Italy being one of the countries out of China with a high rate of people who are losing their lives due to this pandemic, to say, how can you now trust to go to those Olympics next to a person coming from Italy? This is something also that has been talked about. But I know that President Thomas Bach has contacted all the association, including your office, to say, where are you standing? And I think I want you to maybe get a chance to explain that you are not trying to defy, you are complying with what's happening in the country, to say everything should be on hold. But when you explain, maybe you should explain why you agree with Thomas Bach, maybe in a way to say the situation should be remain the way it is, in a way. Yes, maybe to explain.
Well, let's put it in context. It's not defiance or antagonistic mentality. This is one world, and this is a movement called Olympic movement. And as an Olympic movement, we've got a philosophy, and the nice thing about this philosophy that we're trying to pursue in life is that we always believe we can rise above situations. Right now the world is so depressed, so upset. Athletes have been working for the last 4 years to fulfill their dream in Tokyo 2020, and that's now we have a situation that creates uncertainty, actually is depressing to athletes, and you feel the frustration. Now you've got to think as a leader, the athlete's dream, their safety, the commitment you have to the host country and all the other partners that you have in the mix. How do you balance it correctly, as opposed to being traumatized by the situation and rush into a decision?
But is it okay to Jim not knowing your fate, to say, am I going or not? Because now they're in a limbo to say, do we do this, do we do that? I think that's the question as well.
One of the key elements of a high performance athlete is the ability to balance your mind and to remain focused, whatever the adversity. You can have a broken leg as a player, but as long as you know that you have a contract to fulfill and the fans to please and your own ambition to go back into the field of play and play, that's what actually pulls you out of the bed to actually work out and do all the physio work and heal yourself. So that is why it's understandable, the frustration and the trauma, but at the same time, do we have to let bad situations kill our spirit and kill our resilience?
Yes, to catch you, Mr.
Mr.
Simon, this is where it's getting exciting. Now, the same athletes we're talking about, they will come attend the games in fear of either being affected during the games or the fact that they didn't get prepared properly. Now, maybe yes, as we wrap up, to say, your view is to say, do you agree that it should carry on? And if you agree, why do you agree? And if you don't agree, and of course, which I think you're likely to agree since you're a member of the International Olympic, what do you agree? Just basically to say, what do you agree? And
let's put it a simple way. Like I was trying to give you the scenario. So it's not a right or wrong. There's no right decision when you're faced with such situation. So it's very harsh to think you're correct when you make the decision, because there's lots of elements you have to take on board. So to operate from an administrator's point of view, as though I'm ignorant of the many elements that actually should come into play, the safety of the players, like you're saying, as they go in there, they're worried about, are we going to come out of that situation safe? So how then do you create that assurance as an event organizer? That is what is being worked on. What can we do within the 3 months that is left to ensure that the questions that are prevailing in the athlete's mind, in their parents' mind, in the national's minds, everybody, the host mind, the colleague's mind, how do you make sure that you package that and bring some assurance? And it's a terrible exercise, I can tell you.
Now, the decision is going to be made in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah.
In your thinking, through your experience, what do you think President Thomas is going to say?
I think,
not to preempt, maybe.
I think President Thomas Bach is going to give the best decision because he is consulting very wisely. Last week, he consulted the athletes themselves. He consulted us as national organizing committees.
What was our response?
He consulted the athletes themselves.
Yes, Mr. Smith. What was our response as a country?
Our response is exactly like I told you, that take the right decision based on the information we are hearing from all the stakeholders, and then we'll make the solid decision.
Wow. Currently, the right information is that let's not cancel. Do you agree, Mr.? I'm not trying to put you on a spot. Maybe let's get this clear. I'm trying to get your experience on what you know and what we are facing to balance it.
I think that is the feedback that is coming through, and it's very loud and clear. We must cancel. Now, you've got to do, as an administrator, you do your tables.
True.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 90 out of 10 or 90 out of 100 that are saying, oh, look, let's cancel. So the wise decision will be cancel. So that is why I'm saying at the moment we're gathering data, we're listening to the head of states, we're listening to the athletes, we're listening to everybody, and then the right decision will be made at the right time.
All right. Now, time is against us, but are we keeping in mind our athlete who might represent us? Are they doing something currently internally?
They are. Fortunately, we keep in touch every day personally with them. So they are trying their best. I know it's a bit difficult now because some of them use public transport. There's just so much drama, you know. It's not the best or the ideal situation to be working under. On that, I can assure you. It's frustrating them. But we're saying, look, we have a dream. We have a dream. Let's stick to our dream some way, somehow. I know maybe a decision others have already cancelled, like you're saying, the countries that you think have, and I think their athletes have already. I saw yesterday or this weekend on TV, some athletes were breaking down and crying at the program because they think they know that the Olympics are not going to happen, but now that's their own personal thing. But dream is broken.
Mr. Smiran, time is against us, of course, and I think we will try to get time to exercise again this talk to say whatever, maybe before these 4 weeks, whatever the decision is going to be, we're going to get a time, of course, and talk about this. And thank you very much to be here in the studio, and of course, as one way of exercising precautions to say, as a country, we are, of course, doing whatever the Kingdom of Eswatini, the government, together with the World Health Organization, of course, are telling us to do. I'm going once again to exercise this as Mr. Smilani leaves the studio to say we are partly taking what in consideration what the country is telling us to do. All the people that you're going to shake hands with outside, they will need, of course, to be in the right position to say, I met someone who was clean, no infections were made. And of course, thank you very much for your time and well-spoken advisors and all the things we wanted to hear. He thinks cancellation should proceed, but consultations, of course, should be made. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, sir. Can I sanitize you too?
And of course you can, even though I will stay in the studio. Of course. This is how the world is operating currently. We take a short break, of course. Linda Tlamini is in the studio to tell us more about this pandemic and how the sporting activities are being affected. And of course, as we welcome Linda Master, there is a short, insert to tell you how some of the sporting code are actually taking some precautions around this pandemic. Golf, to give you specific details. Here it's at Ngonyeni Golf Course with Mr. France giving you the details of the precautions of the COVID-19. Take a look.
Can you just give us a highlight on how the golf course is precautionarily ready for the virus?
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you to Eswatini TV for this opportunity. Talking about the spread of the coronavirus, or the COVID-19 as we know it. At Nkonyeni we're taking quite seriously, or not quite, we're taking very seriously the spread of the virus. At the main gate we've put up a scanning station to test people for temperatures, etc. when they come through the gate. When you arrive at the club, there are various stations with sanitizer for cleaning hands. Also in the restaurant, tablecloths has been removed before and after every seating. The tables are being sanitized, chairs are being sanitized. Same with the golf carts, before and after round, the entire golf cart is washed, sanitized, the steering wheels, the seats. On the driving range we sanitize even the golf balls. Every night they've been left in some jig to be sanitized, put them out in bags that's been sanitized, put them back on the range every day. So from Nkonyeni side we are taking things very seriously in combating and the spread of this virus. So it's something that I want to encourage every golf club to do at this stage. During today's competition we also ask players not to touch the handles of the bunker rakes. We actually allowed players to clean the bunkers or smooth out the bunkers with their feet or even with a club, allowed a club nets placing in the bunkers where the bunkers aren't obviously nicely raked. As for the flag sticks, we just ask all the players just to leave the flags in all the times and just putt with the flag stick in. Those are the measures we've been taking up to so far, and I'm sure with the next week to come we find even better ways to try and combat this disease and the spreading of this disease.
Business-wise, how is this impact affecting the golf course?
Unfortunately, it's had a big impact so far on our business. It is concerning, but in saying that, we had a couple of golf days that have been cancelled for next month, a couple of groups cancelled. But I just want to assure that Nkonyeni is really trying everything possible to make it a safe environment for not just for people in Eswatini, but also in SA that would like to come and visit here. We're very fortunate and blessed in Eswatini that there aren't too many cases reported yet, and we really hope we can keep it that way.
Have it. Franz Struers, the director of Ngonyeni Golf Course, of course, giving us the details on some of the precautions as a golf course they are taking. We know how much people do attend the games there at Ngonyeni Golf Course. Of course, we're talking about the issue of coronavirus, COVID-19. Now, two things to separate here. Now, coronavirus is the virus that you get when you are affected. Now, COVID-19 is more of when you've been confirmed that you are sick, you have the COVID-19. Now, I'm in the company of Linda Dlamini, of course, to talk about how this is affecting the entire sporting fraternity. But more of the important aspect, before we move to I think we apply the same issue.
Fabrice, ngibonga lelithuba lekubala.
Yes. Baye bathi 20 seconds ngosi ngoba wena bese yes 20 seconds ngathi yes. Qhubeka ngosi.
Ngiyaqhubeka
ngoba asathi ukuthi bochawula bobandelanga lonke. Ngiyathi ukuthi wena you are a busy man, so you might have a couple of meetings, so asathi.
Bengisho kona Fabrice ukuthi kungumusa lokubala. Kungumusa ukuthi mina nawe siyaphila. Ngicabanga ukuthi as much as singakufaka lokho, but there's only one savior. Umvulonga sita uNkulunkulu kuphela. Ngicabanga ukuthi if singakhona kubuyela lapho umhlaba ungaba nayo solution.
Ngoba nje mase sengikhanda ufika e-studio ngicela nje sa apply the same thing, because this is what the country at large, His Majesty's government, the entire world is telling us. Bengisho ukuthi master ukuthi ukhohle ukuthi ubuke kahle nala naseseno.
But ke February akusiko kwemtimba wonke. I heard you behind the scenes ukuthi ufuna kufaka emtimbeni. This is not kwasemtimbeni.
No, let's talk about the sporting fraternity. Let's see how maybe now we have to apply this while we are live on in studio. This is not the 2020 we wanted to see, especially in the world of football. Basically, Euros, Olympics. Fortunate enough, some of the tournaments we managed to finish them, like our beautiful, Ingonyama Cup was able to finish, but we still have the league, we still have the Eswatini Bank. As a country, so far, in terms of sporting activities, master.
I remember Fabrice nakungena lomnyaka 31 ka December wonke umuntu bekakhuluma nga 2020 bakhuluma ukuthi ngumnyaka mhlambe lo utawuphatha tinvincumbi lona unfortunately tinva tihambe ngehlelo lebantfu ukhuluma ngayo yonke sikhulume nje ngebhola ukuthi siphatha kamse kanganani ngenhlanhla lenhle Ingonyama Cup iphelile sawathola bo champagne so Eswatini Bank besengapheli, but siyethemba Fabrice ukuthi njengoba ngishilo ngathi if usawukhona ukuthi sibuyele kulwasidala siyothola likhambi kuyo noma sithandaze sicolise nangabe sonile then singakhona ukuthi tinvo cheshe kubuyele tibe normal.
Ucabanga ukuthi sonile ngosi
umhlaba wonile Fabrice wone kakhulu one kakhulu. I think na ungabuyela emuva ku Old Testament ukhumbula ukuthi iGomora neSodoma kwendekani bese siyakhumbula ukuthi isikhathi saNoah
asesibuye siseTemidlalo because you're quoting the Bible, not to say it's wrong. Let's come back to sport, because the directors and producers, of course, that's why they have us here now. Before you came in, besibukela a clip about Ngonyeni Golf Course, of course, talking about precautions, lama measures that sits in terms of trying to make sure they are staying in a position where naifika leligciwane libakanze very in a right perfect position. You were one of the people who visited. We'll look at a quick clip maybe before we talk about that, but you will explain to us as we visit. I think I heard as well that you took a test in terms of the COVID-19. Now, Linda Master visited, of course, Ngonyeni Golf Course over the weekend, and this is what he had to come up with. Take a look at this.
Silo semhlaba ke inkosi yomswati wesithathu sathi nasikhuluma ngavision 2022 inkonyane yaphakamisa isandla yathi yona iyafuna ukuthi ifike ku-first world status. Nasikhuluma ke nge-first world status ngikhuluma nge-first world facility la enkonyeni i-golf course lenshasha. Yes banayo lenye lenzala likhona but lena lensha ungathi ingetulu kunaleya. Njengoba nibona ke sime la sithemba nje ukuthi emalangeni ladabo divakashita ngaphandle noma emagaluva labadlala igaluva bangaphandle batawufika la enkonyeni bashilo ke basenkonyeni ukuthi bagadzile ukuthi le nkundla le iphele mhlawumbe etinyangeni letimbili noma letinzathu letitako. Sesigadzile ukuthi nakuphela i-coronavirus nangabe itawusheshe iphele siyethemba kanjalo ukuthi emagaluva noma labadlala igaluva batawuta abadlala kule nkundla lensha yasenkonyeni. Lobikako ke la enkonyeni golf course lensha uLinda Dlamini Anatharibo Bhembe.
There you have it. Of course, Linda Dlamini just taking his time and visiting a sporting facility, to be specific, Nkonyeni Golf Course. Now, knowing that the entire country is, of course, in a position to say currently nothing is taking place, but some of the sporting courses, of course, like golf, they have taken measures, of course, to try by Oshua, Now, Dlamini, you took a visit there, and we're talking about sporting facilities, and then what did you notice? Since I know very bad they are taking this issue seriously.
Kwaqala Fabrice mase ukuthi inkonyeni beyivele inayo i-golf course labe bedlalelwa khona a-world class golf course but bangeta lenye ke yesibili le lengicaba ukuthi angathi cause le icala ngicithe world class ukuthi nangingayibeka ngetulo sengingathini because yinhle ayikapheli but ngalendlela leyinhle ngayo already yinhle kunalamanye ema golf course la khona in the country. Lengicaba ukuthi those guys basebenza kakhulu ebusuku nemini yesinza ubanayo but nawubuka lendlela nje labenta ngayo letinto ngicabanga sihlukile. My producer will say awesome stuff. Ngicabanga nje ukuthi Fabrice it's an 18 hole so uyabona ukuthi vele batshele ngasathi nasikhuluma ke na France behind the scenes sikhuluma off the record ukuthi ufisile kune next 2 or 3 years ukuthi ema tournaments lamakhulu esibonile South Africa European Tour idlalelwa khona baya Mauritius nabo ngekufisa kwabo nangekubuka kwabo it's a long term project for president ngicabanga ukuthi into lenhle.
Ukhuluma nga awesomeness, ukhuluma ngale turf, ngale course itself ukuthi it's beautiful. Ngayengeva during the Sun International at Royal Swazi these international golfers coming praising so much the course, the golf course at Royal Swazi. Singasho ukuthi currently they overtaken them. When akubuka kwakho master, which is the best course lesinayo kangwane? Because we're talking about facilities which I like now. When you talk about football, we're not saying as a country we're so much behind, but we're where we are because we know our possibilities and our everything, and we can't have everything. We're talking about football, we know basketball, we know. Now we're talking about golf. They have talked so much about our beautiful golf courses. What's your take?
Before ngifike lapho Fabrice amasay ukuthi le golf course lensha in fact enkonyeni bane nursery yabo labatikhulisela khona lotshani lo green so ngicabanga ukuthi lapha njengoba ngishilo ngathi isengapheli but lapha kulo green Fabrice ngihluleka nekuchaza but ukhuluma ngeRoyal Swazi ngicabanga ukuthi leyo
top notch.
Yeah, top notch, but this one I promise you after 2 or 3 months sitakuya nawe lapha siyobona utotibonela lo cobo loblapha yinhle lenvo because sengishilo ukuthi bathi limela lutshani lapha nje bafake laba basusa la khona la kulendzawo yabo bahambe bafake lapha eground ngicaba ukuthi yinvo lenhle kakhulu if besingakhona nathi ukuthi letindzawo tethu letihleti because there are many virgin lands la khona la Eswatini if besingakhona ku 60-70 kahle letindzawo leto like benda engonyeni kukhona la besingakhona.
I'm very happy, Master, with golf. Of course, nasikhuluma ukuthi currently international golfers, when they come, they're so happy with the current situation of our golfing causes. Now we talk about places like tennis. We've got now a national tennis center. You talk about when you have tennis and then you have a basketball also facilities there, you can deal with volleyball. Now swimming is another issue where you can say we're lacking behind with swimming facilities. But when you look at other sporting courts that maybe we need to improve, like your hockey, all those sporting courts, where are we heading? Maybe this is the time to just to highlight 1 or 2 things, Master, based on what we just saw from the golf course. Because we're improving when it comes to golf courses, but other sporting courses
ngicabanga ukuthi Fabrice nawubuka le ndlela sitawubala nje igolf awubalela ama courses kunalese Mbabane, kunalese Mhlambanyatsi, kunalese Simunye, kunalese Royal Swazi, kunalese Ngonyeni, inyalo sibangeta lenye Ngonyeni. So uyabona ukuthi le facility banayo bafuna bona by 2022 babe at least bakhuluma nga 8 noma nga 10 ngama golf course. Bese sesibuka kulala amanye ema sporting courts uyawabala ibhola stadium dincane letinkulu cishe ngosomhlolo namavuso. Yes, inhlangano ikhona lekhona kalanga bese khona nange weekend so siyobuka nalapho, but letindzawo dincane ngicabanga ukuthi if angakhona ukuthi tingedwe leto ndzawo leto ukhuluma nge-tennis court bakwendile lokho kalobamba benta kahle kakhulu bawangetile ama-tennis courts. Ngicabanga ukuthi if bekunganaba all over the country kube khona lese speak kube khona lese nhlangano Esimunye nakhona tonke letindzawo tibalance bakhona labamvu ukuthi nabafuna kodlala bakhona kojima bakhona nekudlala ama games.
Talking about, of course, facilities, I want us to go to another facility that you visited over the weekend, but before we get to that now, we're talking about golf course, we're talking about golf itself as a sport. Now the nation has we've declared a national emergency, of course, due to the outbreak of the pandemic coronavirus. Now all sporting activities are being put on hold. Golf is on. But it's in, Master. No, not in the way we would see what they were saying they're not complying. Over the weekend they were playing at the Babane Golf Club. We're not exposing them to say, hey, police should go tomorrow and say people are not complying with the government's instruction. But what keeps them in a position to say, we're not saying we're not doing what would lash also when, but we're playing because we think maybe we can take the precautions. What's going on? Why are they still playing?
Fabrice angathi because lapha embabane sathi nasifika lapha sakhanza prominent bantu laba prominent bantu labasala labahlonishwa even ukhuluma nga mayor wasembabane babemhlongo ukhulume nga Mr Filimnisi ukhulume nga Mr Madlopa. So ngicabanga ukuthi but lama precautions labekashiwo angibonanga no angibonanga bakwenda incumbi yakho ngisangisho.
When you talk about precautions, you talk about sanitizer before maybe taking.
Yes, even nalama flag cause bekuthiwa angeke azatsinzwe but khona bese bawatsinza tonke letinvo leto cause ngicabanga ukuthi labanye bacaba bakuthatha ngaze kusekhashana kakhulu lento lekani i serious kakhulu if wonke umuntu angakuthatha kube serious cause
uyayibamba ibhola, but look at what's happening there. There's the issue of not also thinking of maybe there should be a sanitizer.
Yeah.
No, we're not trying to say, here's what I want us to do, Master, would see the viewer understand. We're not exposing them. We're not saying, no, we're trying to say that people should understand this is serious.
Yeah.
So
kakhulu. And if now decide lokuqhubeka nalo mdlalo lo ngicabanga ukuthi yes beba bancane tinombolo beba ngekho over 50.
True.
But le sanitizer ngicabanga ukuthi bekumele khona everything labata itsinza bafutse tofa lelo gciwane. Ngicabanga ukuthi ngiletinto leto lekumele ukuthi sithatha serious because impilo yebandlu.
As we move, what I've observed, Mas, I think since last week Friday, the weekend before Eswatini Bank takes place, quarter finals, that weekend there was a bit of activities. There will be your pool, there will be your AGM meetings, there will be your squash, all those sporting courts. This past weekend, I think golf was the only sporting court that was active. Okay, you've got social events, the likes of Zitan, the Athletics Club, they were involved in activities. But in talking about slowly, people are starting to notice how serious this issue is. So we're heading to a weekend where now even golf might listen to them.
Because semaviki lamabili kulandzelana even last weekend that other weekend bebadlala na this past weekend bebadlala ngicabanga ukuthi njoba ngisho maybe batawugcina babonile lo siku serious kanganani but bamvula abazala laba lengishilo ukuthi abantu labahlonishwa abo nabo ngicabanga banedizathu takabo but asisibone ukuthi emavikini latako kutawendekana.
Like I just say, of course, the viewer, if you joined us either on YouTube platform or on national TV, the Eswatini TV, we're not saying that ababosho noma in. We're trying to say that it's high time people take the issue of coronavirus seriously. Maybe as time goes, they will get to understand how serious this issue. If they do want to, of course, to reduce these chances of the country being affected by the coronavirus, they should comply with whatever that is being said by the country and the World Health Organization. Now, Master, you visited one of the facilities. We're talking about facilities. You were in Stake. Tell me about the facility and what happened on your visit. I think you took a time to say there's no sporting activities. Why not? Let's see how the country is doing in terms of infrastructure. Not only football. You started with golf, but now you went to see a football ground. What was your visit about? And take us through.
Fabrice Estegi sitawukhumbula mhlambe emukunemaloyal viewers la ngathi kahle ukuthi Estegi Kalanga kwakhiwa inkundla yebhola lensha stadium lesisha Kalanga sifikile ke khona Saturday nasithi siyafika siyobuka nje ukuthi kuchubeka kanjani unfortunately Kalanga yes umsebenzi uyaqhubeka sasakhiwe le ngale ngentasi la kunama dressing rooms khona nala kutawuhlala khona iVIP but nangiva ngashemeni waselbonjeni
perimeter ngibonawo that's inside noma I'm outside. The camera is inside noma it's outside.
Angichaze lokho Fabrice sithi nasifika kule stadium lesi sakhanza kuvaliwe nasikhuluma na chairman webhola yaselbonjeni washo ukuthi cha asikavumeleki kungena
wasifaka insizathu
no wakhuluma nje ukuthi project aka FIFA le mina ngakwati kwami ema projects aka FIFA kuyalandzelelwa imedia ya updatewa ihambe ibuka ukuthi i progress ikanjani. Sikhuluma nje kune stadium eQatar my friend Thomas Kwenayide bekayile eQatar ayobuka iprogress yakhona even na South Africa 2010 i progress beyibuka ukuthi ihamba kanjani. So this bantu batsinga kwati ukuthi kuhamba kanjani Kalanga but sakhanza khiwe wangavuma ishemen wasokhulumisene namabhalane kuthiwa asikavumeleki kutawusiwa nasekuphelile kungikhathi imedia
Master abamba lapho ke you're a journalist and I love your investigation of to say I want to see what's happening. Hear me very well. The viewers will hear me very well. The way you sound, it's like, explain to me, what do you feel it was wrong for the place to be closed? You felt it should have been open. Uvangas would see why close if it's a project. Can
I clear the air? I'm not angry because in fact I'm not angry.
But what
yes, I facility vele kumele ikhiwe ihlale ikhiwe until iziphele. But if one of my journalists afise kobona ukuthi kuchubekani because kusasa taphinze kukhale bona baselibonjeni bathi si reporting ngendvula engasiyo. Uyabona kanti uyababita labamvu bayabona ukuthi iprogress ihamba kanganani. Lenga kunothisa nje mina lapha the pitch is too small. But njoba ngisho ukuthi kusasa kutawuthiwa si reporting
yes what we're looking at this is because there is kune cement gonke is it where they're going to be seated, is it going to be the field
lana nje Fabrice lana nje
the ground we can't even see
babambe lapha 2 seconds lana nje lasibuka khona Fabrice in my dressing rooms la mathima atathe nakaphuma egroundini angene khona then lapha etula ngathi khona kuma stands like tawuhlala khona iVIP nema officials uyabona then kuphelele basithi sekuphelele sekushoda
now sekuphelele kusho ukuthi kune VIP stand kuphela.
Yes,
So
according lokushiwo ngichairman waselibonjeni
so it's a stadium that can host or accommodate VIP attendance kuphela.
I want to believe ama-fans atakuma.
Now, when you look at Nhlangano, I think we've got 3 FIFA projects. ITF yaSomhlolo, it's a FIFA goal project.
Yes.
ITF yaseNhlangano, it's a FIFA goal project. This is another FIFA goal project. It's not 3. Now, ungathini wayathi yaseNhlangano kuthinjani in terms of the attendance and everything. Compare the one in Nhlangano and this one and tell us something.
Fortunately, chairman waseshiselweni wangibekela sithombe sasenhlangano washo ukuthi ufiseni yena because i-football association siyacetha ngale stadium then seku up to ishiselweni ukuthi yona ichubeka kanjani washo ukuthi bafisa kufaka ama-stands okay bekasho ukuthi bafisa kufaka furnace bawufaka furnace ukuthi ama-fans angakhona ukungena egroundini bawufakile furnace then ufisa kufaka ama-fans ama-stands nema-lights ngiyethemba batakwenda lokho but elibonjeni uthi the chairman wakhona sekuphelile kushoda i-artificial turf kuphela.
There's of course a lot to follow up there to find out how much is going to be spent, of course, on the facility and stay, and to look at also the issue touched by Master in terms of the attendance. I think thank you very much for the investigative, journey that you took to say let's look at the facilities in the country and where would see be. Now, I want to also bring you back. There's something we talked about last week, Master, and I think we didn't finish. Something now you've got a new position outside your field of being an analyst. Now we're talking to a technical director of a new sport in town, Tech Ball. There was a challenge over the weekend that including some of the well-known faces, former, of course, a football goalkeeper, Nhlanhla Mapang, currently the basketball president, of course, with a local, familiar faces, Patuzem Msibi, Wagandlo Dosbong, of course, in a challenge against Mapang. I think it's a journey you guys are trying to make people understand. Would see. Tech Ball, what are you trying to talk about? And using familiar faces is one way to teach people. Ben Gupen, what was happening?
Fabrice, since siyakhumbula ukuthi vele due to le outbreak ya coronavirus asikwati kuphuma sile kulabantu i-Tech Ball inema office eSwatini la sakanike khona lamalanga so siyayesizama lokuthi sigweme lokuthi abantu babe banenge sizama kubita about 2 webantu labatiwako Nhlanhla Mapanga social former goalkeeper wavimba kwaNdras president we basketball uyatiwa then naphathizwe Msibi siyama TV personality so sizama lokuthi la kulabantu le sport satiwe nabo bayafuna kushukuma abatsinzani ke kule sport lesi kude kutsinzana uyabona lo mnyungala kuleli tafula lo mnyungale so ngicabanga ukuthi invo lenhle leyo ukuthi
how do you win, Master? Ngibani lo win it
kule challenge le kugcina kwene Phathizo nangikhumbula kahle
Phathizo wina njani kanza si former player kwendekene was the decision fair?
No, beyifair Fabrice but ngicabanga ukuthi Nhlanhla usazama icontrol yakhe siyakhumbula is a former goalkeeper uyabona ka ayimdlalo wasekhathi but kuchubekile ke Fabrice ngale nje ngijabuliso lo
okay
yes naye former goalkeeper goalkeeper coach wemba Highlanders former goalkeeper coach goalkeeper we-national team bekadlala naphathi is very good ke njabuliso kuyo i-Tech Ball ngicabanga ukuthi naye is part of i-committee ye-Tech Ball invo lenhle leyo ukuthi sithi labantu abayati le-Tech Ball bantu nabafise kudlala noma mhlambe umuntu locabanga ukuthi angayidlala tasina seku-launch officially then sibabite abantu sisho ukuthi bajoyina
kanjani. Now what was the challenge and maybe you in Babane?
Yes.
Are you looking at to say next week pro Imanzini? Because someone who's watching is in stake. We're talking about stake.
Njengoba ngisho ukuthi at the moment after i-launch sitabe sesiyale kubantu because kusesenale ligciwane asifuni kuhamba siye kubantu siyowanzisa ligciwane sisema office ethu no
okay yeah, I get what you say
but at the moment sema office ethu eSwatini si invite bantu ku-Tech Ball invite abantu njengobona nje ukuthi
Mr. Talibo
the president wayo le association nanjabuliso so asifuni lokuthi bantu babe banenge kutawuba bo president nale committee
kusho ukuthi control ya president Now, moving on, Mr. Dlamini. Yeah, we're talking about now players in outdoors, of course, trying the tech board. This is beautiful, and of course, we are appreciating you. And I think we want to know if the challenge is open, and maybe one would want to join. And it's something nice.
Maybe we can accommodate one or two of it, but
Okay.
at the moment, sibuka
Yes,
the prominent ngasho kanjalo or the celebrities akangwane akhona ama celebrities akangwane at the moment sibuka bona cause yena utawuta munye babili bathathu yes then njengoba ngishilo ngidawubuyela futhi nase kulontshiwe officially
You go everywhere.
then sesiyahamba seyenza
Wow. Now, beautiful, of course, coming from the technical director. Now, currently, the world of sport, of course, is involved in a challenge. Not everyone is doing it, but posts are, of course, overflowing on different social media. Now, there's an issue of a tissue challenge, of course, where some former players, current players, sports journalists, sports administrators, of course, who are wherever they are in the world in isolation, they are trying something. Nkamangusi Master, you take us through this isolation challenge that is happening as we look at the pictures.
Yeah, this is Steven Pina, former South African captain, Bafana captain.
Yes, Everton, of course.
Yes, na Everton, Tottenham Hotspur, Dortmund, Ajax. Ngicabanga ukuthi nayo uyithethe leyo challenge leyo because siyakhumbula ukuthi njengoba social ukuthi badlala incume ba isolation but decide ukuthi ngcono nayo sendlini uthathe i-toilet paper lesikubita ngokuthi tissue bateke kona kube ngumdlalo then kube sekuya trenda ke Fabrice kwaba i-challenge fortunately nathi la khaya sinako ngibonile nje ku social media naye Fabrice Msonera lengihleli eceleni kwakho kwakhe
Ngenjani mina angisi former player mas
yeah usi former player ushilo wase ma sport journalist yes this is Pathizo Msibi our colleague naye uyizamile challenge though I must say ukuthi you guys besenzame after several times kuyithola kahle le that's Fabrice Msonera after trying about 8 times
usho kanganani ukuthi I tried 8 times
ngiwabonile ama clips lamanye la editiwe but
that's a finish.
yeah what a finish I wish Peter Drury was there to commentate.
No, akhona ama qualities master ngilokuthi lelenye langa stop vetega. Now, who is this now? This is Wanda Hlego. Is it Wanda Hlego? It looks, yes,
Fabrice,
yes,
Wanda Hlego umdlalo wakhona la khaya umdlalo wembabane Swallows ngakwenda lokho Fabrice that's very simple.
Sekufuna lapho vele.
Yeah. The challenge kusasa.
And of course, quickly maybe before we leave, football players and then FIFA talked about assisting clubs financially. What did you take of that clubs from FIFA president master? We see my teams by a seat in terms of demand. Quickly, it's I think we've got teams that we can also help. Teams that rely only on market taking, small teams in the country. Do they need to be supported financially?
This is the time for pressing ndawushonje briefly. This is the time ukuthi FIFA angenelele more especially kulama vela sathuthuka. We're one of those countries electing ukuthi FIFA afake kuwo wonke lama Premier Leagues asho ukuthi ama teams atawunikwa imali because dinenge imali Fabrice ku FIFA letingenile over the years so leto imali leto sale diphuma tekela umamave kusurvive lama teams kusurvive labadlali because akwatholi lutho ema teams kuma-gate takings.
And of course we do have small teams like you just mentioned Dlamini that are relying on the small income that they get when they host the so-called big giants local. And of course thank you very much for being here in the studio. And I think once again I want to encourage you Dlamini in front of the viewers to say when you come next week Monday, let's hear something like what you did this weekend, visiting sporting facility. I'm so much impressed about what happened in Stake. Maybe come back with something. I think this is something that people wanted to hear. Would see Mamamba Magwendega Stake project how far have they gone? And thank you very much of course for that.
5 seconds Fabrice. If there's a project laba indawo emakhaya abasithinze Fabrice ikona inombolo lehlale eshayelwa la studio abasithinze sitakuya thina so cover sibuke nalokuthi sichubeka in lemakhaya kune academy njengala bonkambeni. I want to believe sitawukhona ukuthi ngeweekend siye khona siyobuka ukuthi sichubeka in.
Wow. That's why we have him in the studio, our in-house analyst, of course, Linda Dlamini, having, of course, been involved in all sporting cause locally for quite some time. And, of course, before Mvalisa Dlamini, we're applying the same rule. No rush in trying to keep you safe and healthy in the country. Apply, but we don't know what might happen. Regularly as possible, master. Wow, there you have it. And of course, the same applies to me as we close this program to say it's been, of course, a beautiful day. It's been a beautiful Monday. Do not lose a chance, of course, to catch this program every Tuesday from 8 o'clock to 9. If you didn't get a chance, of course, to watch it live on this Monday evening. Otherwise, our YouTube platform are open for suggestions. Of course, the number has been set. You can call and say, this is what I can think that should be done during this time of the pandemic that has hit the entire world. Otherwise, from the entire department and of course the entire production that brought you this program, we do say, coronavirus, let's fight it. Good night.